Okay, folks, as you see, Aristo's drinking his coffee, and we're ready to record another video, and the title that he's chosen for this one is called Self-Appropriation, the First Step. Aristo, take it away.
Thank you, Ron. It's good to be back. I mentioned I would be, wanting to make a recording with Ron every week, but 10 days, I won't be able to be here once every 7 days, but 10 days is, I guess, the best I can do without rushing and trying to, make ends meet and all of that. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I have this title, and it seems the title should be from one of my earlier videos. I mean, what are you doing? Talking for over, 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden you have this title saying the word, the first step. What are the other steps? What the hell have you been talking about? Well, I'm basically expressing the same idea, different versions, different facets. The idea is not so complex. It's just difficult to digest. So if you watch one video, it's going to tell you the same idea in different forms. I don't want to shift topics. I can talk about things like occultism and, for example, esoteric practices that somebody can do to help them and this and that. But I'm speaking to a wider audience than that. Things like not occultism like most people know, but, like yoga or meditation or even energy circulation, inner alchemy, things like that. And we don't have to put this in the blurb. But these kind of things require a special attention, a lot of commitment, and that is not something most people are willing to give on what might be termed a long shot. So instead, a lot of people invest time and money and attention on things that are more pop culture oriented, like the New Age movement and its jargon, pseudo-spiritual precepts like love and light. These things, yes, they exist, but it's a pseudo-Christian, spiritual, pseudo-Gnostic, I don't know what, There's a lot of people on the web, here and there, that are into doing research, looking at the information available, history, for example, even though it's written by the victors and all of that, there's elements, and you don't find these love and light things the way the New Age presents it, these theosophical. The Christians will even tell you that these theosophical ideas are more or less satanic, which I don't believe, because that the word satanic is also a kind of fabrication of the same people who promoted church doctrine. You need to have a bad guy and a good guy. So, in my opinion, they'll tell you, no, Satan is real. And, well, yes, in a form, in a way. And I'm not talking materialistically. There are spiritual forces that are malevolent. They breed psychopathy in human beings. So we are in a predicament. And if somebody comes up and then they're desperate and they're expressing their anguish, we cannot fix the problem. We are not Mr. and Mrs. Ms. whatever fix-its. We are organic beings, and healing is a process, and it requires a shitload of commitment. So you can't give somebody advice to make them feel better. Usually you give somebody advice to make you feel better, to alleviate your dissonance, because you don't want to experience their pain. But we are here for that very reason, not to experience pain per se, but to connect with the problem. When I came on, you told me that somebody, they were told you don't focus on the problem. Well, you see, again, there are misunderstandings here. Don't obsess incessantly in circles with no other recourse on a problem, because you are not focusing on the problem then. What you're doing is running in circles around the problem.
Or trying to find solutions. Did you hear me?
Is obsessive is technically. Yes, I did. My internet.
All right, the audio is jumping all over the place right now.
Okay.
Go ahead, keep talking.
Is it stabilized a little bit?
Yeah, it's stabilized again.
Okay, just tell me to stop for 5 seconds every time this happens, because it really cuts. It's better to just stop. And that's one of the things, that anything around you that happens can be an inspiration, like a writer. There's a write what you know, write what you experience. Basically, use whatever you experience, the little bits and pieces that come to you in the day-to-day life, in your moment-to-moment discourse with existence, so to speak, your own and what's around you. Use all that in order to be inspired and appropriate that, so to speak, in your, shall we say, journey toward a better tomorrow or a better next moment, toward your healing, toward your wholeness and all of that. So your resources are all around you if you consider it. If you become a cynic and you say, no, it's crap, it's all bullshit, blah, 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 it sounds to me that you don't want any solutions, because you're constantly, or you're scared, or you're a shill, whether you're paid or not. You think maybe there's some people that really think that if they go along and get along and bash anybody that goes against the system, that somehow the system will benevolently smile upon them and shower them with some kind of benefit. I have observed this, in some kind of, whether it's subliminal or over. There was one person on the internet that was trolling people, and finally they found the guy, and people found him, and they asked him, what's going on? Why are you doing this? Well, I want to be noticed. I want to be noticed, and maybe people who don't like your ideas, will come to me and notice me and reward me. It's like, where do you get these? How do people even think like that? But they do.
It's interesting because I found recently another channel that had a lot of my videos on it, or at least portions of some of my videos, but they were bashing me. The whole thing was about bashing Ron, Yeah. So, but they were using segments of my videos.
Yeah, you go out of your way, you spend a lot of time. Well, you bash something that's dangerous, okay? That's the definition. So there's another, let's open our eyes and look at this. Why is somebody bashing anything? Because it's dangerous, it's threatening. Or they will sell the fact that they are meeting this threat. They are acting like a security guard, for example. Or they want attention, but attention to bash Ron. Who is Ron? He's got, 5,000 people. Why don't you bash a celebrity if you want attention, Or is it easy to bash Ron? Well, I think it's because somebody thinks that bashing somebody like Ron, when Ron is not popular in many circles, will make somebody raise their status in some way. People think that it's just some nobody that does it for no apparent reason. But, my saying, Aristo's saying is, there is no crime but organized crime. A lot of people, you can write that one down, because you have the old saying of Arthur C. Clarke, who, he says, well, most evil in the world is not because of malice, it's because of stupidity. And I'll say, well, there's stupidity and stupidity. Psychopathy is a form of stupidity, in my opinion. But most evil in the world is intentional, in my opinion. It is not because of somebody who doesn't know how to do something. Lack of efficiency is evil. No, that's the machine way of thinking. Lack of efficiency is human. So for me to hear that somebody as notable as a science fiction author, a sort of philosopher, as it were, says, and people repeating it, this meme that, no, it's idiocy, it's stupidity, it's human inefficiency. Well, yeah, keep thinking that, because the people who are ultra efficient are the psychopaths. And so they're the ones causing, so that's denial. See, I'm jumping back and forth between the viewpoints here. And in one way, I'm, critiquing the whole new age attitude of just love, or I saw this this thing, shall we say? Oh yeah, say what you want. Did you want to say something? I saw you.
No, I was telling you that the audio was scrambling a little bit again.
Oh, I see. Okay. We didn't communicate along the coding of the sign language that we're use. Okay. But I saw this cartoon, and this is some guy, I saw it on Facebook, some guy comes to an auto shop, and the title says Buddhist auto shop. might as well say new age auto shop. So he comes in and goes, I brought my car in to be fixed. Is it ready yet? And this guy with the shaved head and the monk's robe, there is no car. What? So it's like, it's gone. This whole attitude, your vehicle, what's valuable to you, it will completely go, well, there is no car, forget it. So throwing out the baby with the bathwater is one thing. And another thing is a complete denial of the situation. And it's like, well, as you say, it's an experience. The fact isn't for me confronting the experience or denying the experience, it's how we confront the experience. Okay, that's the important thing. Everybody wants to simplify, and why is that? They are dumbing us down. There is a program of dumbing us down. Humans only have a 3-minute attention span. That's going to turn into a 3-second attention span. Why? Because I'm told I have a 3-minute attention span? I'm being encouraged to have a 3-minute attention span, yes, or a 3-second attention span. But who is telling me this? And people are repeating it like parrots. Why? Don't people realize that they have become broken records, that they don't even, you cease to exist really as an independent being when all you do is just parrot, just to have that ecstatic, titillating feeling of being accepted, like a child, okay? So we are being demasculated, we are being defined, politically, as politically incorrect as that is, who cares, And we are being essentially reverted into childhood because children are raped. We are being set up to be mass raped, mass murdered, mass sacrificed, blah, 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 all of this. So then we come to the other side, the screaming, yelling, do something or we're going to die facets, and I made a rant there, and then somebody responded and he says, well, if you want to live a so-called normal life, no, I don't want to live a normal life. I don't want to sit here and stick my head in the sand. My thing is not to say either or. My thing, as we have said many times, is both and. Meaning you don't have to go into the denial, love, and light, and you don't have to go into the doomsaying, screaming, cynical, pseudo-realistic attitude that's like a little kid wearing his parents' clothes, posturing around, trying to be the boss of the group. Or the sage, both extremes are like that. They both have a holier than thou. Even the person that's going, do something. Well, who are you to scream, do something about the obvious? We're all doing that. We're all informing. But if you don't have something to contribute except silence is consent, that's another meme. That's a stupid meme. Who the hell? I don't care who came up with it, but why are you repeating it? Don't you think? People, anybody. What do you mean silence is consent? Silence is meditation. Silence is thinking about it. Silence is contemplating. Silence is just shutting up and being an adult so you can figure shit out. Having to go around scream like an idiot or go sacrifice yourself for no reason so that the coward in the back priding you on can have a self-satisfying, maybe they want to come up and say, see, there is no solution. Or maybe they're in cahoots with the other people subconsciously. We're also children saying, oh, there is no car. It's all love and light. It's all, just pretend it's all okay. Go inside. The thing is, they're both right. But at the same time, they are both wrong. And I say wrong because that's also politically incorrect, okay? Who are you to say blah, blah, blah? Why do we have to resort to identity? Why do we have to go into a straw man ad hominem attack? Because we have no other recourse when we're confronted with certain things, and it's easy. Our brain cells are falling apart. This is a sign of being retarded. Retarded means being tied up, not being able to move. Retarded means being unraveled at the same time, not being able to hold yourself together. That's how I see the word. Maybe the dictionary says something else, but that's just my intuitive sense of it for now, or what I remember of it. So political correctness or no, I encourage thinking. And thinking, however, can also be destructive. Thinking can run around in circles. So of course, the new age type or spiritual type, and I'm kind of one of those in some way, and I'm also a kind of scream my head off, in another way. Both and, as we said, but integrated. this is what I encourage, because you take the stuff that doesn't work on one end and you bring it, you say, what's valuable about this? Well, evil thoughts, bad, whatever, can't engage, can't trap me, they can't hurt, rather they can't hurt me, but they can make me hurt myself, okay? I can be convinced to hurt myself. And at the same time, I can still be hurting myself when I'm pretending to scream my head off and go around like a child, hoping that daddy and mommy from somewhere, either metaphysically or physically, is going to come and save me. Usually the one that will save me is the pedophile, or claim they saved me. Really, the kid, I got a lollipop over here, And that's what people are being programmed. You're being programmed because you don't really want to do that, But it's easy, see? I've been doing some research into subliminals and things like that, and it's basically the way you get hypnotized. The whole idea of hypnosis and being manipulated is it's easy. It's a slide. You're on a lubricated hill and you're slipping down to the bottom where the spikes are going to go up your ass. And you can see the spikes, but you don't care because it's fun to slide all the way down to there, to the painful place. And that's the thing. See, if you can resist hypnosis if you're aware of the slide. It's happening, how easy it is, I love it because it's easy. It's easy. Love and light open up. It's easy. Scream my head off. It's easy. Paradoxically, yeah, it's easy to bitch. Bitching is very easy. And it's also venting. But the thing is, unless you combine it with the other side that tells you to open your thoughts, to be receptive to awareness, to the life around you, to the life within you, to spirit, as it were, then you're going to be running around in circles of cynical bitching that are going to turn into an easy spiral down into the painful place, or up into the painful place, or maybe the painful place will go up yours. Either way, it's unpleasant. So when I say self-appropriation, I mean, forget about this cultural shit, forget about everything that's easy and bonding and connecting. Face the difficult stuff and appropriate yourself. Because you cannot misappropriate yourself if it is yourself. And this is not escapist. This is facing the problem, because the problem is we are being seduced by easiness. It should be simple, but it doesn't have to be easy. In fact, it can't be easy. Otherwise, it would have been done before. That is a rational argument. If it were easy and we are all motivated to do it, we're all motivated to be whole and happy and fulfilled and all of these prosperous. Well, why not? Well, it ain't easy. So somebody comes up and in the final stages of cancer, they start yelling for a cure. And it's like, well, what have you been doing before? Cancer doesn't pop up out of the blue. Oh, a victim of cancer. And this is just an example. Oh, a victim. Because, blame the victim. No, blame the problem. The problem is the illness. And if you don't take responsibility for the problem, which is what a self-appropriation does, then you cannot solve it. You cannot heal it. Heal yourself. Responsibility, as we say, is a nice way is to say able to respond, but it really means taking charge. It really means standing up and declaring yourself an adult. And as painful as it is, there is no way I can or even want to, because I've been there. I've been in difficult situations, And of course, you might say, well, if you survived or if you came out of it, then it wasn't difficult. Just like you've been in difficult situations and crises and stuff. No, it's very difficult. But the thing is, and I know that when you're in there, nobody can really give you advice. When you're really down at the bottom, advice is not worthless, but really, everybody seems like they're on a high place unless they come down with you. And then if they suffer with you, they're in the same place. What advice? So maybe they can play the role of Jesus, come down, suffer with you, get themselves out, and then they say, okay, now you do it. And then you'll say, wow, you're Jesus, it's easy for you to do. You can get off the cross, you can rise from the dead. What am I supposed to do? Well, what? That's when the real Jesus would come and say, oh, believe in me. What do you mean believe in you? That you're going to come and lift me up? And then instead a pedophile takes your place, just so happens. Why didn't you deal with all the questions that you have about God and all of this stuff? You see, The noise is so loud that the real God cannot come through. Why? Because we are creations of the real God. So, and I hate to get into this religious thing, but you know, we are creations, so we have liberties. We can do things. We are allowed. And if we are overridden on these aspects, we have to be overridden as a whole. The whole world's going to collapse. We are going to, I've seen that in certain, well, let's just say, in my experience, I've seen when people have awakenings, they can't, that are not coddling and treating you, you know, you're like a little kid, you're like a little newborn, you have a realization, you open up, you have a so-called Kundalini experience, you have a, you know, some people with psychedelic experiences, some people with shamanic experiences, whatever, a revelation that affects you so profoundly, you feel vulnerable like a child. And so you want to be treated as a child, you know, but that will not work. You have to be your own parent. Being treated as a child by your own parent is healthy, by yourself. So self-appropriation simply means getting in touch with your situation, being aware that nobody's going to come and help you unless you can take the first step, because that means you can walk. When you're lying down, if you expect somebody to lift you up, your feet are never going to work. So we have to rise out of infancy, in my opinion. We have to self-appropriate. And it's easy in one sense. It's easy because we know the extremes. We have these two extremes, you know, in our communications. That's one thing. That's one thing. The hyper-spiritual denial goody-goody, and the screaming, bitching realist who's pessimistic and says there are no solutions, Nibiru is coming, and that's it. You know, or they're going to get us, they're going to mind control us, they're going to blast us with W5, whatever, 5G, and we're screwed, you know. So these two extremes, well, they don't really help us, you know. I mean, but they have seeds that can help us. They have elements. One side is really determined to do something, but it runs around in circles and really not. And the other side is really determined to get to the bottom of it, stay awake. And both of them are, you know, well, you know, they need to open up and take the risk of paradoxically binding with each other into a single, you know, middle of the road type thing. And middle of the road does not mean compromise. It means get rid of the baggage. So to all these people who are in the bottom of the barrel, whatever, it's like, okay, you know, you know what you need to do because your instincts kick in. Awaken your instincts. That's the best you can do. If you're at the bottom of the barrel, you need to ask yourself, do I really want to go on? Am I willing to commit, fight? Am I willing to get up for myself, you know, and my family, whatever is around me? But am I willing to do whatever it takes within the reason of my integrity, as it were? To my dying breath, as they say in the military over here, to the last drop of my blood, you know, in the military, they make us, you know, fight for the country and all of this. So they go, I will, you know, fight to the last tiny speck of drop of my blood. I will give that for the, you know, will I do this for myself? Metaphorically speaking, of course, there's no point if you're going to kill yourself to live, you know, it just doesn't work. But, you know, so are you committed, you know? And so and it's not a pep talk. It's not, that's where we've been corrupted. We've been given so many pep talks that we can't even give ourselves courage anymore. Naturally speaking, we can't inspire ourselves, you know. Can you be your parent? You know, forget about the rest. You know, you don't have to be an atheist or a deist or anything. All you have to do is be existential agnostic. Look, I don't know, I don't care right now. Right now, things are important. I'm at the bottom of Maslow's pyramid. Survival, whatever, is most important. But at the same time, I'm not going to fucking throw away the top and turn into a psychopath just to survive. That's my opinion. Okay, that's my view. But being at the bottom, there's always a lower bottom where most people are. Really at the bottom, you can't communicate it. Oh, I see. Okay, there you go. I got it. As I was saying, being at the bottom is not the ultimate degradation, the ultimate bottom. There's always a deeper one if you can communicate it to others and to yourself. So if we're all at the point of no return, there's no point, you know, whatever reason, whatever, but we're still at a point where we're not. really, if you really look at the whole conspiracy thing, 2000, the 2020s are supposed to be a decade of crisis. We're not there yet. We've been building up to that. So people think we're in crisis now. Wait, the show hasn't even started. I'm not doomsaying. I'm saying that people who are self-aware can slip between the cracks, but denial ain't gonna do it. Those people who are in denial of it have been riding the wave of pseudo-euphoric, oh, I'm over here, it's not my problem, are going to experience it as their problem, because why should the system let you go? Who are you? Unless you're serving the system. And a lot of people are. They realize it. They don't feel they can make it. They feel like children, so they serve the system.
Oh, by the way, you're about less than 5 minutes left, just so you know.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the clock, so.
Oh, okay.
Everything. I actually, the clock is available right now.
Okay.
So anyways, I can end it even now. I mean, the fact is, you know what I'm talking about. We've been saying this over and over again. Let's detect, I'm not wanting to live a normal life. I'm not compromising. I'm not bashing the New Agers. And people are defensive like little children. Yes, don't be defensive like a little child. Be an adult. But if somebody is bitching at you with malice, you can tell. This isn't malice. I care. And I'm sure the people bitching about let's get up off our asses care, and the other ones who are telling you, oh, be quiet, care. But at the same time, there's self-interest involved. My self-interest is to actually not give opinions or advice that I wouldn't follow myself, not give opinions or advice that I've realized don't work for me, So the person at the Love and Light thing, they've probably been at the other end of the spectrum. They've probably, either have been bitched at or have been in despair and fear and all of that, and found out if they just release it, everything is fine. Have they been to the center though? They haven't. They just jumped off like a pendulum without, skipping. They made a quantum leap into this. And the person who is in denial and they say enough is enough, and then they just go to the other side and become an atheist, a realist, a materialist, or whatever, a logicalist. Oh, prove it. You've heard people prove it. Prove what? What's the proof? What do you mean prove it? Wear a white lab coat and shine a badge or whatever, and that's proof. That's more hypnotism. You cannot prove certain things. You can't open your brain up and squirt your gray matter out and show people what your thoughts are made of. It doesn't work that way. Some things need to be experienced. The proof is in the pudding. Experience it. Oh, I can't take the trouble. I can't take the risk. It's not a risk not a real risk. It's a calculated risk if you go into the center. And from this center point, you see that's the gate of self-appropriation. So again, there's the title, self-appropriate. And it doesn't mean you're going to be, redeemed. It means you're taking the first step. And once you take the first step, you'll say, well, nothing's changed. We'll take another step. And that'll seem like the first step. Every step is the first step to something new. And let's accept that, okay? Let's commit. So I'm not asking people to sacrifice themselves or go out or do something. Don't do anything. Be silent. We're not going to find solutions if we go and express them in the public medium where everybody is spying on us. Come on, These people all have secret societies where they plan and plot and do whatever. We're going to sit here and just blab like idiots, come on. No, we just say things that are not really threatening here. We're just saying things that will help us take a first step anywhere. Doesn't matter, as far as those who are spying on us or whatever, or how threatening we are. Let's all take a step. Let's see. Let's do this playfully, because one thing, when I say, oh, they're children, childish, whatever, well, that's the one thing about being a child that we should never give up, is being playful. Even if you're down in the dumps, you don't have to be happy, but you can also, if you can be very, very serious. Oh, I'm sorry. It happened again. Is it back? Is it,
you keep talking.
Okay. Playfulness, if you can be playful, then you're not at the bottom of the barrel. If you can not be playful, if you have to be serious, in the sense that you are grown up, but you are nearing the bottom of the barrel, So it's time to pay attention at least. Yeah. It's time to get serious about self-appropriation. maybe make some changes, whatever they may be. It's not going to be easy, okay? Confronting this, all of this, is not easy. We're not here to learn anything. Those who are actually going to take steps have already learned what they need to learn. They're actually applying right now. And that doesn't mean the knowledge is filling you. It just means that you are aware and you're ready, because adults can even be ignorant. It's okay, you know, in many things. But adults are still adults. They are mature. They confront life differently than children. Children play because they can afford to. If they stop playing, they lose their childhood. You know, it's a form of rape to force children to end play for the sake of the future, or their jobs, or their future school grades, or whatever. You know, in a way, there's extremes with everything. So, anyways, I'm going to stop this here. You have heard my thoughts on the subject, and I'm very passionate about this. But at the same time, I respect anybody's, you know, response to this kind of thing, as long as you don't bitch at me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Aristo.
You know, so thank you again. Namaste.
Namaste.